Well, good morning, preppers across the land. Perrin Lovett with the Prepper Post News for Tuesday, November the 4th, 2020, the day after. And it looks like we have Bush versus Gore all over again. I guess there's not a whole lot to report as of yet. You've all been watching your news source of choice, whether it's Fox or CNN, Real Clear Politics, or a print publication. So this is one we're just going to have to wait and see about. I've got a couple of other stories to get to. I'm going to do that now. You can also find all of these stories at freedomprepper.com. And also, I'm going to be putting up a link to Freedom Roasters Coffee. We got some really low light. It's very early. But, well, you can kind of see that. I moved the camera off center so that we could have more graphic display over here. Not that there's a whole lot to display. We know that we know there will be problems. We knew that under any scenario going forward. I expect those will really crank up tonight. I'm also wearing a wire. I have a little microphone. I'm not sure if this works. I don't really like it because I'm half deaf now. What was I saying? H.L. Mencken once wrote that democracy is the theory that the common man knows what he wants and deserves to get it good and hard. So congratulations, and maybe by the middle of January we'll have a president. But we do have a record number of Americans who are leaving America. This is I've got all these links at freedomprepper.com. Every year for the past decade or so, there's been a slight uptick in people who are fleeing for greener pastures somewhere else. And it's a record number this year. And I guess this morning is kind of proof that they were on the right track. I'll let you read that. We also have a lot of people who are moving around internally. We've been covering this ever since the unpleasantness began with the pandemic, the lockdowns, and then the riots. You have a lot of people that are abandoning places like New York, Chicago, all of the big cities, and they're seeking wide open spaces. Most of them are going to the suburbs. If they're from Manhattan, they're not going too far outside the tri-state area, finding somewhere where they can commute and feel safe, while at the same time having ready access to all that cool stuff in the city. The city that caused the problems that caused them to flee. But places like Montana, yeah, you're seeing an uptick. If the construction and real estate sales are starting to slow down, yours are booming. Just be careful as to who you're getting, because they frequently, any kind of migrant is known to arrive in a new place and want to start the same behaviors that caused them to flee the old place. That's something for you folks in other countries to think about with all the American expats headed your way. And let's see here. There was I guess this was a day or so ago, Kevin Barnett had a medium-length column at UNS about, does this presidential election really matter? And it was quite similar to something I wrote this summer, basically my only in-depth look at the election. And I concluded, Trump, Biden, nobody, both of them, you're in for the same result. And it's a really interesting article, almost as interesting as the little blog post that Vox Day put up. And I think this was last week. I've had this in the hopper. Anything Vox post is worth looking at. But this is titled, "What Ails the USA?" And he nails down two problems. One would be massive long-term immigration to the United States from everywhere. And the other is inflation or debt, just debt in general from the Federal Reserve and the the lack of a gold standard. And he's got a great graphic comparing prices in 1952 to the present. And they're also, there's a scale that weights them out for inflation. For instance, just round these numbers, and everything, almost everything has gone up. All of the big ticket items have gone up. There are a few foodstuff items that are essentially the same. Some are, I think, slightly cheaper, but I can tell from my shopping that these are the cheap prices or the bargain basement. There's an argument that all of these prices have gone up, but the big ticket items have soared. Your car is over 2 times as expensive, even factoring for inflation, than it was in 1952. A house is 3.5 times as expensive with inflation. Without inflation, you're talking 20 or 30 times the increase. College education, and you have Harvard tuition listed here, is up 8.5 times adjusted for inflation. $600 in 1952, and now you're looking just for tuition, in the $40,000 to $50,000 range, and that is not unusual for Ivy League, certainly, and for any private university. Public universities have also skyrocketed. So what's the one thing that has dropped adjusted for inflation? Why? That would be the price of your labor. Your wages and your salaries have essentially been cut in half. When everything else is costing 2, 3, 8 times as much, you get by on half the money. Now that is the cost of financial sorcery, as I call it. Cheap money, fake money, debt. But anyway, it keeps the businesses running, unless like last week and this week, they're all boarded up, not really knowing what, and things may be breaking out right now that I'm not even aware of. I took the time to get a haircut and watch a little too much television, especially for me. I'll leave you with a last thought. We seem to be over our kerfuffle with Facebook. That was apparently a misunderstanding. Things are fine. Sorry about the confusion. But there is some censorship all over. I wonder if I took the earpiece out, if you could still hear me. Oh well. I don't watch Saturday Night Live anymore. I haven't for years. But apparently there was a host who made some political comments. It's an irreverent show. It always has been, always will be. But he is being attacked left and right for irresponsibly joking about this election not really mattering. So take a look at that. That's an RT link. And I'm going to close out today. This is going to be kind of a short one. I just want to, again, promote the Freedom Roasters coffee. I'm going to have some links here, if I don't already, about how you can pre-order or find out more information about that. It's going to be really, really good. And I'd like to take this time to thank the crew and the cast here at Freedom Prepper to keep all things moving. We have, there's some guy, what's his name? Scott. Yeah, Scott. You know Scott. I mention Scott sometimes. But we don't all, you never see, and you don't hear me mention the lovely and talented Joyce, who keeps things on track, and the lovely and talented Yvonne, which down here is not East Central Texas, by the way. We would call her Jovanna. Very talented. She's the one that makes those things. I assume she's putting something up right here, right now. We also have the Prepper Elves that I occasionally refer to. I've never met them, but apparently they live in a magical tree in a beautiful little forest. I think it's somewhere east or west of Patagonia. And of course, we used to have the Preppertron 9000. Your protestations brought me back. And I assume after this week, we'll probably be going back to the bot. Folks, have a great Wednesday. We've got a couple things to catch up on tomorrow, and then Friday, when this stuff gets sorted out, I think I'll go back in and look at some of the races and see if we can put something together about this election. So, Folks, I'm going to see if I can turn this mic, use this mic control to turn the camera off. If not, this will be funny. Have a great day, folks.